There's something out of place. A discomfort, like forgetting to put your hat back on. Cyrus wouldn't understand. Nimians don't tend to. Yes, I take it off to sleep, Titch had said when Cyrus had asked once in their first year. So it's not literally a part of you? Titch had shrugged. If you cast a spell to teleport yourself right now, would you leave your clothes behind? What? No. So they're a part of you too? Not really, I just don't want to leave them behind. Stuff I can put on and take off can't be a part of me. Well, where does Nim stop and the Wildernight start? There's no line or anything, it just gradually becomes the Wildernight. You could say Nim is smaller at night. There's less light, so less of it. So you get even smaller at night when you take the hat off. Well, no, I'm wearing the bed, aren't I? You wear the bed? Yeah, don't you? No more than I'm wearing the desk when I lean on it. Do you wear a desk? Titch had felt the fabric of the desk then, its connection to the world. The loose bolts that made it wobble when Cyrus leant on it. Cyrus was watching Titch. Wait, you are wearing the desk, aren't you? Well, I mean... Cyrus put her hand on Titch's shoulder and laughed. And are you wearing me now? Titch opens their eyes to a cloud of choking dust. People are coughing, rubbing it from their eyes. Someone is saying something, but Titch can't quite make out what. Something coarse but familiar rubs repeatedly across the fabric of their face. A nightcat tongue. Hey, Drift. Titch gives him a scratch behind the ear and looks around for Cyrus and the patchfolk. Among the people moving around, one is stationary. The Wilderfolk woman Cyrus had guided from the workshop stands, watching, studying Titch with a frown before turning away and disappearing into the crowd. And she's gone, and there's no sign of Cyrus or Siebold. They should be here on the street. They jumped first, or were pushed. Titch tries to push themselves up, but a wave of nausea pulls them back down. It's all right, don't try to move, the voice says. It's a pale guard. But there's a rock sticking into my back, and it's really annoying. Oh, maybe that was the uncomfortable feeling. So I decided to start this session by drawing a mentor prompt. It was the King of Spades, which says, zoom in. Focus the narrative lens tightly on a small, meaningful moment. A hand shaking as it reaches for a door, a flickering flame in the lantern, the last spoonful of a shared stew. I wasn't sure what exactly to zoom in on, so I just started writing and got a nice little vignette out of it. It hasn't moved the story forward much though, so I'm going to take an endurance point off us from the fall and move on. There was a woman in a grey coat and a patchfolk. They jumped before me. Where'd they go? Titch was not being a good patient for the Soul Weaver tending to their injuries, squirming and looking round for Cyrus. Just hold still, please, the Soul Weaver says. Titch lies back, letting the Soul Weaver work. It makes sense that Cyrus would leave him there, take Siebold back to Andelheim, claim the credit for herself. Now, I've got a bit of an idea here, and I'm going to make a willpower check to see if Titch figures it out. So let's draw a difficulty. 3 of diamonds is 8. We're not doing anything special, so the impact die can stay at the default d6 for roleplaying. And that said 10. Nice. So we get an XP, which coincidentally fills our XP bar. So let's quickly deal with that first. So we gain a renown point, and we gained 2 for successfully rescuing Siebold last session, so that brings us up to 6 renown points in total. We clear the XP track and draw a card to see what we get from that. 4 of spades is another +1 to max endurance. Okay, Not my favourite option, but okay. Next up, we got a success on that check, and let's draw an advantage to flavour that a little. King of Clubs' Awakened Relic. Well, I do know of one magical item we have that can be awakened. Titch bolts upright, staggering the Soul Weaver. The workshop, it was closed. The Soul Weaver shakes his head. You're fine, just take some dusk mint. Right, yes, thank you. Titch turns to Drift. Someone said it was closed right before we went in, so why was that Wilderfolk woman in there? Maybe she had something to do with the explosion. Drift cocks his head. Titch scrambles to their feet. We need to catch up with Cyrus, we need to... Titch stops, looking towards the Witch's Wing of the university. There is, of course, the mission that Glass had given them, to take the book to Lyra Tin Whistle as soon as they weren't being followed. And now, here's a perfect opportunity to slip away. But where to? You already have all the information you need, Glass had said, and suddenly, Titch understands. The map, keyed to Titch's touch. They hurriedly extract the map and spread it across the rubble-strewn floor, placing a hand on it to reveal its secrets. And sure enough, a note appears under Mothwing Rest, a Wildernight settlement to the northeast. It says, Lyra. Titch looks to the south, to the university and, presumably, Cyrus. She might need help. She might not realise the danger. The Wilderfolk woman might be stalking Cyrus and Seabold right now, preparing another attack. And grimly, Titch makes a decision and turns north, away from the university, away from Cyrus, and towards the Wildernight. Now, I'm sure Titch is making the right decision here, and it won't come back to bite us at all. But before that, let's do a bit of a hex crawl across the Wildernight. I think I'll say it's quite a trek, and we need to get through a few hexes to get there. I'm not sure I want to decide for certain exactly where it is yet, so what I'll do is aim for either hex number 21 or 40 and see what happens. So first, hex number 1. I'll draw 3 cards and Settled Mountain Nest. That's super interesting. So there's a mountain settlement in the book called Tyrian Peak, but technically that's all the way over on the other side of the map in the Barrier Peaks. I know it doesn't really matter that much, we're creating our own version of the Wildernight, but I think it might be fun to try out the settlement generator. So that involves rolling first for a size, and then on the landmark resources and problem tables. So the size is 1, a hamlet, which I think fits the nest description. So I'll roll a landmark and a problem. 2 and 4 is a soundless waterfall and sickness from an odd ore deposit. So a name then. Soundless Eyrie. I like that. And one more thing, I'll roll an encounter on the Hills and Mountains table. 10 and 3. Marmoteer party standing guard at an ancient burial site. Okay. And very quickly, I want to ask the Oracle, has Titch been here before? 2 of diamonds is no and. Let's draw a complication with that then. 5 of spades is unwelcome help. A meddling, well-meaning being creates chaos. Shall I draw a creature? Yeah. 5 of diamonds is a ghost. Interesting. Oh, and risk rating, of course. Ace of diamonds is 2. I should draw for shadow activity, but since we're near a settlement, I'll leave it. And I'll very quickly do a check to see if we can gather any ingredients along the way. So difficulty rating 10 of spades, that's overwhelming. And risk rating 5 and 7 of clubs, so a difficulty of 17 in total. Any point in rolling even? I'll do it anyway. This is quite a passive search, so a willpower plus a d6 impact die. That's a 7. I'll draw a complication for the setback. 3 of hearts, misunderstanding. Okay, I think I'll bank that for now and use it later. Oh, we do get a card for that setback though. For the second time in a few days, Titch finds himself trudging through the Wildernight with a heavy heart, Drift plodding loyally at their side. They wind their way through rocky paths as the light of the sun shards fades. Below and far to the right, the umbral cathedral rises from the grassy plains, but the ground here is barren, loose stone and winding ridges. Titch gasps as they round a corner. The path follows the western cliff of a canyon. At the top of the gully ahead, a long flowing waterfall glitters in the twilight, crowned by stars above. But there's no accompanying roar, only perfect silence. A stone bridge spans the face of the waterfall, with what looks like a giant nest of petrified wood at its centre. Off to the side, a winch platform rests halfway up the cliff towards the bridge, and on both sides of the canyon, the rock face is pocked with elegantly carved tunnels. They hurry along the path towards the winch to find a kind of station with a small wooden shelter and bench. A sign reads, "Welcome to Silent Eyrie. No wings, no problem. Just whistle, not too loud, please." On the bench, a dusky whim sits slumped over, asleep by the looks of it. "Best be quiet here, Drift. Now, think we can get a lift?" Titch whistles softly, the sound echoing off the cliffs, and waits. But no response. They whistle again, but still nothing. They kneel by the sleeping dusky whim. "Excuse us," they say quietly. The man breathes softly and deeply as Titch studies him. He's wearing a kind of waistcoat that leaves room for his wings. He looks Nimian in style, and, yes, a jam jar, probably a marmotier then. Tentatively, Titch reaches out a hand to rest on the dusky whim's shoulder, giving it a light shake. "Excuse us." Titch closes their eyes. The threads that tie this man to this place are strong, sweeping upwards towards the nest above, to quiet homes above the waterfall. But there's something wrong. Threads that are frozen in place, inflexible, dozens of them. Titch snaps the hand back. This is not a natural sleep. "We'd better get him to safety, Drift. Up there." Titch points to the winch and scans the cliffs with their ornately carved openings as they whistle again, much louder this time. Still no response. "Maybe there's a way up. We can get the lift and come back down for him." Titch puts a hand on the cliff, feeling for the tunnels, for a path. "Okay, let's make that a challenge. Get the dusky whim to Silent Eyrie. But before we do, I'm going to burn that card we got to use Read the Weave, which will reduce the risk rating by 1d4. That's 3. That takes us to a -1 risk rating. Okay, so what's the resolve of this challenge? I don't want to spend too long here, but I think this has at least 4 steps to the challenge. Let's use 4 and draw for the difficulty. Perfect, King of Hearts, so that's a 5. And 1 for the risk rating. 2 of spades, so that's just a 5, nice and simple. The tunnels are old and solemn, carrying out some grave duty here. But importantly, they connect. A carved out labyrinth inside the cliff. Getting up to the bridge shouldn't be a problem. "Drift, up here. I could use your peer." Titch scrambles up to the nearest opening, waiting for Drift's lamp-like eyes to illuminate the space inside. "Oh." Rows of recesses in the rock wall have a distinctly funerary look to them. "Let's be respectful, maybe?" And our first check, then, is navigating these tunnels, so a willpower check. and since we read the weave of this cliff specifically, I'll step up the impact die to a d8, and we get a +2 for navigating from our Familiar with Frey ability. That's a 12. 2 successes. That's a good start. Let's draw an advantage then too. Jack of Hearts, positive vibes. Alright, I'm actually going to overrule that and say we find an ingredient instead. 8 of Diamonds is Zephyr's Dew, a slow-growing, thick-skinned bulb with a white flower, often used for meditative practices. Levitate a small object or alter reality in a tiny area. Nice. They pick their way through the dark crypts, up staircases and along passageways, keeping track of each turn and elevation change until they arrive in a cave, starlight filtering through a circular hole far above and water dripping down the walls. In the centre, a stone plaque rests atop a grassy bed with peaceful flowers glowing in the gloom. Titch approaches and wipes some grime off the ancient plaque. Words are carved there, but not in a language Titch is very strong with. I think it says something about a peaceful rest. I mean, I guess it's peaceful enough. Oh, hey, Zephyr Dew, I love this stuff. Drift growls as they harvest a small white plant, and Titch looks up for what he's reacting to. A dark and empty corner. They rest their hand on Drift's back and sit down in the grass next to him. Hello, Titch says quietly into the darkness. I hope you don't mind us passing through this way. There's a Duskwim outside, in a bad shape. A shimmering form appears in the corner, the vaguest, indistinct shape of a person. The temperature drops, and Titch sees their breath misting in front of their face. Let us know if there's a better route, and if you want us to leave, we'll have no dispute. There's no response. The shimmering form hovers, watching them. Okay, we'll be on our way then. Titch gives a little bow of the head before standing and ushering Drift away from the cave. As they turn back, the shimmering form fades. I think that was worth a card for our hand before we continue. Titch keeps quiet as they carry on upward through the passages, watching, listening, and then they stop. Voices ahead, followed by hammering on stone. They creep forward carefully, wishing they still had the Veil Serpent shawl. Instead, they reach for Levira's short sword, holding it in front, a cold mist falling from its blade. There's a light ahead. The passage opens up to another large chamber, this time all ornately carved. At the back of the chamber, pillars line the entrance to what is clearly a mausoleum. The door has been pushed aside. Torchlight flickers from within. Titch approaches carefully. All right now, slowly does it, a voice from inside says. There's a grinding of stone on stone, then a heavy thud. Titch looks down the interior steps to see a sarcophagus surrounded by 3 people. A large red Twillet, a burly Nimian man, and a silvery patchfolk woman. The sarcophagus is open, its lid lying on the floor. There she is, the patchfolk yells, pointing up at Titch. Before Titch can say anything, the Nimian lowers a spear and charges at them, and suddenly everything goes dark. So I'm playing the misunderstanding card here from before and leaping straight into a conflict with these folks. This is a group adversary, so their resolve and actions are 3. And I'll add 3 to the Nimian difficulty rating of 5 for a total of 8. Now, first things first, avoiding the charge. That was Drift's Abyss ability that says, absorb all light in the area, pitching it into true abyssal darkness to make your escape, and leaving anyone in the area lost. I've been wanting to use this for a while because it synergizes really well with our Inked Tether ability, which says we're immune to conditions relating to being lost. So let's make a dexterity check with a stepped up impact die. That's a 10. We gain an experience and mark a resolve. Titch springs to the side as all light in the area is extinguished, then drops low to trip the disoriented attacker as he rushes past. There's a clatter as he falls. We don't want to fight you, Titch calls. We're just passing through. There she is, the patchfolk had said. I think you have us confused with someone else. So, a heart check this time. I don't think we're doing anything special here, so the impact die can stay at a d6. Oof, that's a 6. We get a card, and for the setback, I think we'll have another visitor appear. Then why are you all misty and cold, coming at us with a knife? The patchfolk calls. Okay, I see how that looked, Titch calls. You probably think I'm a ghost, but I swear I'm not. Look, I'm all solid and stuff. Drift? Drift releases the vortex of darkness. The torch comes to light, lying on the floor near the sarcophagus, near a fourth figure. That's a ghost, Titch says, pointing to the shimmering apparition. As they all spin around in shock, two misty tendrils reach out towards the Twillet and Patchfolk. They recoil from its icy touch. The Nimian on the floor near Titch yells and covers a terrified expression. Please, Titch says to the ethereal being, leave them be. I'll take them with me. A heart roll again. I'll step up the impact die to a d8 because the ghost isn't attacking us and we reminded it of our peaceful intentions. That's an 8, enough for a success and an XP. The apparition withdraws its tendrils, which wrap around the lid of the sarcophagus, lifting it as if it weren't a vast slab of stone. The lid comes to rest over the entombed body inside, and the spectral form fades, replaced by spreading frost over the floor of the mausoleum. The heavy stone door begins to slide closed. Quick, calls Titch, reaching down to pull the Nimian to his feet. This way! Dexterity this time, and a d6 impact die. I think I'll burn a card for an extra die too. Okay, that's a 12. The last success of this conflict, and an XP. The pair by the sarcophagus race up the stairs and help Titch pull the Nimian up. They tumble out of the mausoleum as the heavy stone door slams closed, but the wave of ice keeps coming, creeping crystals and mist across the floor. The trio runs for it. Hey, wait! Titch says, then thinks better of it, and runs from the expanding ice too, following the three strangers up a flight of steps. Ahead, the passageway opens out to the cliff face, and as a group, the five of them leap away from the carved opening and land on the lift platform high above the canyon floor. Okay, who are you, and why were you opening a tomb? Titch asks as the platform sways. The Twillet answers. We were trying to save the Dusky Worm. Who are you? Well, that went in an odd direction. Honestly, when I rolled up the hex details, I expected to end the episode by a warm star shard watching the Mothlight Festival. But no, we're creeping through darkness and jumping to safety again. Oh well. Hopefully we're back on track now after a New Year break. I mentioned in a post recently that this is very much a learning experience for me, and I'm struggling to keep pace with a regular release schedule for this series. It takes me a long time to put an episode together. I'm very much enjoying playing this campaign though, and I don't want it to become a chore or a source of stress. So for now, what I'll say is I won't be committing to a release schedule. I'll just play, write, record, edit and upload when the mood takes me. So approximately an episode every couple of weeks, but no promises. I hope you'll understand if you're one of the couple of hundred people following the series as it comes out, which, by the way, thank you so much for being one of those people, or even if you're binging the whole series after it's all out. And as always, an extra special thank you to this month's Ko-fi supporters for their amazing generosity. If you'd like to support everything I do on this channel and feel able to, then head over to ko-fi.com/cozyrpgreviews. Review week next week though, so until then, happy adventures.